Andrew, welcome to the show. Can you remind people listening exactly how many big, significant, chunky interviews Liz Truss has done as Prime Minister or candidate?
I think that would be zero.
I think it
would. And of course, she suffered, and the country has suffered as a result, because I think a lot of what the big, proper, forensic, robust interviews would probably have rumbled her before she became Prime Minister. So it's a lesson for everybody.
And do you think, I mean, this is a self-serving question, I suppose, for both of us, but do you think that putting yourself up for interview is something that every senior politician should do, if only as a way of testing how strong their own arguments are of themselves?
Yes, it's testing themselves, but also letting the public see if they know what they're talking about. I mean, one of the problems through the leadership campaign, the one that was in the summer, was it was clear on several occasions that Liz Truss didn't know what she was talking about. And it was particularly clear when it came to economic matters that she didn't know what she was talking about. Now, we've all since discovered that she didn't know what she was talking about, hence the current mess that we're in. And, you know, not every country has our culture of this robust, big, primetime kind of interview. The Americans don't really do it anymore. The French are very deferential towards their president. The same with the Germans to their chancellor. This was part of our political culture, an important democratic part of it, and I think it'd be a great pity to lose that for voters and politicians.
And it was in the main dismantled by a certain Boris Johnson, we both recall when that was going on, who is now apparently thinking about running again. Just cast your eye for me over the people that are now in front of the Conservative Party, Penny Mordaunt, Rishi Sunak and Boris Johnson as the next Prime Minister.
Well, I think there's a big grown-up test coming here for the Tories now as to whether they are grown up and are prepared to put right the huge mistake that they have made. I mean, I think a lot of people will find it inconceivable that they can bring Boris Johnson back, given that it was only recently that they kicked him out and they threw him out. And we remember what his poll ratings were like, too. Now, with Liz Truss, the Tory party lumbered the country with someone that they had never heard of or barely knew. I mean, we know her and so on, but that's our job. Most people in the country had no idea. Not only did they didn't know, she turned out to be a clunker. Now, if they do that again, then it just shows that they're not grown up. And you know, it may be that Mr. Johnson has support in the party and the country. It may be Penny Mordaunt has support of people like David Davis. What matters in our condition at the moment is who is most convincing to restore our credibility with the markets. And when you look at it that way, then the only
you'd say Rishi Sunak.
Well, if you imagine Rishi Sunak and Mr. Hunt staying at the Treasury, that is a powerful double act that will reassure the markets. I would be in no doubt about that whatsoever. And that will stop mortgage rates going even higher than they would.
That's a very good point, and we must bring it back to things like mortgage rates, because this is not a joke. I just wonder, however, if you're Jeremy Hunt and you're newly into the Treasury, feet under the desk, whether you're terribly happy to have a much more experienced ex-Chancellor sitting next door, keeping an eye on your homework.
Well, I mean, I don't think it does chancellors any harm to have someone that knows what they're talking about. One of the problems with Boris Johnson was that he didn't know anything about economics. And it brought tensions between 10 and 11 Downing Street, just as Tony Blair wasn't that hot on economics either, which meant that, you know, Gordon Brown pretty much got his own way. I would have thought such is the overriding demand in Britain to restore this credibility that we have so carelessly thrown away, that having someone like Sunak and Mr. Hunt in 10 and 11 Downing Street is what the country needs. And they, I think, would both support each other. Whereas if you put Boris Johnson back into 10 Downing Street, you know, Jeremy Hunt, by force of the markets, has had to become a fiscal conservative. Boris Johnson's never liked a spending plan that he's seen that he didn't want to spend the money on.
That's absolutely right.
The tensions in.
Andrew Neil, it's always a great pleasure to talk to you. Thanks very much for joining me this evening.